Good morning, everybody. The Rev here. Welcome to A Cup of Coffee with Jesus. Hope this finds you well today. Enjoying some good Ethiopian still, and there's some good coffee. Wow, that's good. So jumping into some of the word today, it was just something that came up, some of my study, and there's one about, I've done ones about, how we're supposed to be humble, how we're supposed to help one another, the things that Christ said, but I just love his parables. His parables they just always, and the funny thing about parables is they speak to you different ways in different times of your life and the different seasons. It's just really kind of neat. This one is, the heading on it is the Pharisee and the publican. It's out of Luke 18, starting with verse 9 today. And this is the American Standard Version today. And it says, the Pharisee and the publican, verse 9, and he also told the parable to some people who trusted in themselves that they were righteous and viewed others with contempt. So he's just talking about how we view one another and what's going on really in your heart when you're viewing people that way. And this is, so in verse 10, it says, the two men went up to the temple to pray, one a Pharisee and the other one a tax collector. The Pharisee stood and was praying to himself, God, I thank you that I'm not like the other people, swindlers, unjust, adulterers, or even like the tax collector. I fast twice a week. I pay tithes on all that I get. But the tax collector, standing some distance away, was even unwilling to lift up his eyes to heaven, but was beating his chest, saying, God, be merciful to me, the sinner. I tell you, I love this when Jesus says, I tell you, I'm going to tell you something. I got something to say. Sorry about that. When Jesus says, I tell you, this man went to his house justified rather than the other. For everyone who exalts himself will be humbled, but the one who humbles himself will be exalted. Jesus is just making an example and a parable. How you perceive yourself in the light of comparison to others is not a good thing. I used to tell this with the kids when the kids were little, and they would say, hey, well, at least I'm not being like little Johnny over here. And everybody knows how little Johnny is. He said, I'm not being like little Johnny. And I said, well, that's a bad comparison. Just to make yourself, I'm better than little Johnny. And we all know the little Johnny story. I am better than that, instead of comparing himself to the true standard, which is Jesus. We should love like Jesus. We should give like Jesus. We should act like Jesus. We should talk like Jesus. Jesus was truthful. Jesus was compassionate. Jesus was full of grace. Jesus showed love at every turn. But Jesus was not afraid to tell people the truth. He was not. And why did he tell people the truth? Because he didn't want them in bondage to anything that was there. That's why he's telling this. He's telling the people that were thinking of themselves more highly. He was trying to tell them, do not think that way, because the man that thinks of himself as a true standard, like be merciful with me, Lord, because you know how I am, is the one that he said will be exalted. Just truth. Truth in how we perceive ourselves. Everybody has been guilty of the comparison game. Everybody gets stuck in the comparison game. But that's why we run our own race. And the race is with Jesus and not in comparison to how the others are running. The true race. Not for a medal, but for his glory. Hope you guys have a good day today. Hope you guys understand that Jesus loves you in a way that he'll even tell you, don't humble yourselves and be humble. And don't come before me with all your gifts that you've done. Comparison. So let's stop comparing. Let's start loving, just like Jesus. And because Jesus loves you, I love you, nothing you can do about it. Go get you a cup of coffee, get in the Word, understand a few things today. And just know Jesus loves you so much, he's going to speak truth to you in all situations. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you soon. Goodbye.